Thank you for joining Hoops Hitting Gems podcast. I'm your host, David Jones. Episode number 55, holiday edition. We usually come on Mondays, but since tomorrow's the 4th, we went ahead and moved it up to Sunday night for a little special edition. We have another great show as usual, and this is going to be an interesting show as well. To start it off tonight, we have Coach Amy Longoria, who's the new coach at Langston University out in California, which is in the Oakland area. How you doing today, Coach?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on the show, talk about the program.
Not a problem. Listen, when we first connected, there's so many Langston universities across the country. So when I saw it was out in California, I immediately had to hit you and say, okay, tell me about this one. I'm not familiar with this one. And when you were telling me, you were the new coach there on the women's side, I thought this would be a great opportunity, for you to present the program to the listeners across our platform that aren't familiar with it. So we'll jump right into it. Tell us a little bit about Langston University out in California.
So Lincoln University out in Oakland, California, is a brand new program. University's been around for about 100 years. Last year was the first year for athletics in general. So football, men's and women's basketball, women's soccer. So they're excited to be a part of Oakland, have a university that has athletics in Oakland, really make Oakland what it is. And there's a lot of great athletes that come out of Oakland area. And so the the athletic director for the athletic program is from Oakland area. And so being able to be a part of something new, be able to leave a legacy is exciting.
Absolutely. So they'll be competing on the NAI level, the D2 level. What level will they be competing on?
So this is the interesting part, which I think is exciting too. Since it's a brand new program, there are certain qualifications to be classified as, D2, D3, D1, NAIA. And so right now we fall under independent under the NCAA. And so it kind of gives us freedom to play anyone from NAIA all the way up to D1 almost. We don't have a conference because we're not classified as a certain division yet. But next year we're hoping to, put in a petition and make sure we meet the qualifications to be a D2 or D1 school.
Okay. Wow, that's big expectations.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Absolutely, and that's a good thing. And there's a men's and women's program that is kicking off, correct?
Correct. Yes. So we'll be the second season for both of us.
Okay, and who's the men's coach?
Gary Payton.
Wow. Okay.
I know.
Okay, Gary Payton. Okay, man. Hey, Coach Payton, if you're watching the show tonight, we'll have to get you on as well. Wow, because he's an Oakland product as well. So
correct.
That would make sense. Wow. Okay.
Correct. So, he wanted to give back to the community and be part of something new for Oakland and be a part of building a program. So, it's been a great addition for the athletic program. And so I'm excited to, work with him.
Absolutely. Man, and you said you guys are jumping right into this. You're in a football, basketball. You're going to have a number of sports. Wow.
I know. And I believe they're going to add, I don't know when, but I know there is some possibility of adding track and field. And so that'll be exciting.
Okay. Man, that is exciting.
I know, yeah.
Wow. And you get to get in from the ground floor up. That's big right there. Go ahead. I'm listening.
No. Go ahead.
No, and I was just really going to ask, really just to get to know the school. Tell me about the university and a little more so for people to get to know the school. I mean, is it a big school? Is it little school, medium school?
No, it's a private nonprofit university. So small. I mean, I think students were about a little bit over 500. And we also have international students that come to the university as well. We are focused mainly on business. We do have a bachelor's of science degree as well. We don't have the right variety, but it's a small university. And I think adding athletics is gonna, attract more people to the university to where it'll be able to grow.
Okay. And do they offer any master's programs or anything like that?
They sure do. They do, for business and for the other Bachelor of Science degree that we do have.
Okay. And now with that being said, I always like to jump into this so people have a good understanding. And we briefly talked about this earlier. So you do offer scholarships, correct?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay.
We have, go ahead.
No, I'm listening. I'm listening.
Oh yeah, no. We do. We can offer scholarships, obviously not with our budget that we do have. You know, I can't offer 6 fulls, but I do have the ability to give a full, same with partial. And, you know, with anyone else coming in, I have an option to give everyone some type of percentage, some money for the, you know, for playing athletics.
Okay. So also, you had mentioned as well that there's possible academic money after the first semester, correct?
Correct. Yes. As long as they maintain a 3.5 or higher GPA after that first semester, then they can get academic scholarship on top of their athletic.
Okay, good. So that sounds interesting. And it sounds like as this grows, I would have to say it's safe to say with this being your first year in, you won't have a grad assistant coach, will you?
No, so I will have 2 assistant coaches this year. I was able to get some money for them. My brother, Michael Longoria, will be my assistant. So it's going to be, you know, be able to start, you know, dynamic, you know, being able to brother, sister. And then I also have another assistant coach that's from Oakland. His name is Anthony Jackson. He'll be also another assistant as well.
Okay, well, good. I mean, at least that gives you some of the help that you'll really need to have a 3-person staff. So,
I know. I was definitely worried whenever that was my first question. Whenever I was a hire, was like, can I have an assistant, or is there a budget for an assistant? And so being able to have 2 of them, especially my brother, we know each other really well. He has great basketball IQ, so I'm excited to do this and start this program with him.
Okay. And as we were talking about earlier, and I like what I heard when you said you automatically start reaching out to the local AAUs out there. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming you're going to be reaching out to the ones in Texas that you already know about, and as well as others, you know, because it's safe to say with you moving out there, you're not going to be able to hit the recruiting trail too hard this year.
No. Yeah, it's definitely being hired a little later on. It's been a little challenging just because during this time, I mean, a lot of girls have committed. I mean, there's still so many, you know, girls trying to find a place to. It's just trying to find them is a tough. I've reached, you know, same AAU in Oakland. I reached out to some in actually Tennessee. I was able to make contact with, even in the East Coast and Boston, and then of course locally, the ones that I do know. Unfortunately, the ones here, from what I do know, I haven't had any luck with any unsigned seniors. I've reached out to some JUCOs in Texas. So I'm hopefully from now till August, I can, you know, pick up some more girls.
Absolutely. And so let me ask this, since that's the case, I'm assuming you're probably going to touch that portal a little bit as well.
Yes, I definitely have. I was able to try to get in contact with my AD and make sure I get a login. So
yes,
in the process of that as well.
Okay, good. So like you said, you guys will be playing on the independent status, so you won't be D1, D2. You're just going to play probably about 25 to 30 game schedule.
So yes, and it's been a struggle, but right now we have about 18 games. Okay. And so I have a couple of open spots in December just because we're not in conference, and that's conference play. Yes. December, January. So I'm trying to get that 25 range to get a good number of games to prepare us for, you know, next season. But we do have at least 10 or more games D2 schools that we're going to play against. So I'm excited.
Well, and which leads to my next question, especially with you guys being a new program, I would assume you guys are going to be looking for some of those money games too in November and December.
Yes, we're trying. I'm still talking to coaches, still emailing to schedule games. Some coaches have gone back. They're trying to move some games for us to get on. So
Mhm.
hopefully we can be on some of those money games for sure.
Listen, I understand. And with that budget, that's one of the things, in that type of situation, it's pertinent for you to be able to play those games and to help the budget as well. So
Correct.
I would assume once you get your feet wet and you get to March or April, are you going to come back to Texas next April for the Final Four?
I probably will.
Okay.
100%. Now that, after season, obviously with my coaching staff, I 100% will.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. And then, I think it'd be safe to say, in regards to the Super 64
mhm.
and some of the other big events on the West Coast, I'm sure you'll get a little touch of those to hit the recruiting trail probably next March. But I'm assuming you'll probably easily hit some of the Oakland high schools to take a look to see what they have as
Yes,
well.
and I believe Oakland High School for the girls side, I believe they won state last year.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
So, there'll be some good athletes coming out of the area.
Yeah.
So the girls that I do have on that are on the roster, a lot of them are local.
Okay.
That are good players. So I think it's going to help the community in that area around there that has a university that they're able to play, for the ones that want to stay close to home.
Understood. You're going to have to fight with the Academy of Art out there in San Francisco because they're one of the D2 programs out there. We've
Mhm.
had the head coach on the show, and they're fully funded. So I know that's going to be a fight for you. But Oakland and San Francisco aren't too far from each other,
No,
so you'll be fighting for some of the same players. But listen, everybody can't go to the Academy of Art, so you'll
correct.
definitely be able to grab some of the San Francisco, some of the Oakland kids, some of the kids from the San Jose area
Mhm.
as well, because those are all somewhat remotely close where they can get back and forth. And I'm
Correct.
sure there'll be other kids, there'll be transfers,
Mhm.
there'll be JUCOs as well, because California's JUCO system is their own JUCO system, and it's massive.
Oh, it is. I mean, it definitely took me like 3 days to email every coach.
Exactly.
I had to be persistent, but got it done and was able to make a lot of good contacts off of that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I really think after year one, it's going to be to the point where you're going to have so many people contacting you
Oh, I
once they
know.
get to know you. Then it'll be a different story and say, "Well, coach, we'll take a look. I have
Mhm.
15 to 30 people already on my board. I'm going to take the best available from there." And whereas right now you're just looking to get everything up and running, but trust me, you will need that 3-person staff to start combing through all those emails and
Oh, I
DMs
know.
and
I've
everything else.
gotten quite a bit of, just from especially for the AAU programs. I've gotten a lot
Yes.
of 23s, and as much as I want to jump on and you know plan ahead, I'm also stuck to where, well, I need to fill my 22 roster first
Yes.
before I can really focus on and try to make contact with my 23s for next season. So that's been something that I've been saving, ones to my board that I'm interested in that I will pursue after I get my, roster set.
Absolutely. And that makes total sense. And so are you going to bring them in? Well, when does school start? So let's start there. When does school start?
August 22nd.
Oh my God. Okay. That's around the corner.
Well,
Okay.
I know. So it's been, I mean, I've been, on Twitter trying to, look for anyone that's posted a videos that are looking for a place to be. And just trying to make contacts from the East Coast all the way here. I mean, I know I've talked to some European girls as well. So
So are you
oh,
guys going to take European players,
yes.
international players as well?
Hmm.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
because there are a lot of students at the university that are international.
Okay.
Yes, I will be looking international as well.
So that means you guys have I-20s then, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Oh man, you're gonna have a lot to do. And so, do you plan on bringing your girls in early before August 22nd?
That's my hope. I mean, I'll be up there shortly, you know, uh, in about a week or so, and obviously for myself and my life to trying to get settled up there. And majority of the girls are local from the ones that I have. I know a couple of them won't be able to come till August, so I'm hoping to get in a few few workouts in before school starts. So I'm hoping that around the beginning of August, everyone's up there and we can kind of get things rolling. We start building relationships, so that our chemistry is good, culture is good.
So, you guys have on-campus dorms, or how does that work?
So the university is smack dab downtown. One big, yeah, one big building. And then the dorms or apartments that the students stay in is in Alameda, California. I don't know if you know California very well.
That's like suburbanish a little bit, right?
It's like a little, yeah, it's like almost like a little island. You have to cross like a bridge.
Yeah.
Very small, but from there to the university, probably like 10 minutes, 12 minutes, maybe.
Okay.
And so they will stay there. We don't have a facility because, again, brand new program. So we practice at Alameda College.
Okay.
And so that will practice men's and women, and then our home game should be there as well. We don't have many just because we have to work with their sports as well at that college, but we do play majority of our games on the road. But they will be majority in California. We do have some. We do go to Washington, and we also go to Idaho.
Okay. So you'll basically stay on the West Coast for the most part.
Correct. Yes. At least for now, until once we're classified as a division and we're in a conference, then we'll obviously travel more. But for right now, trying to keep it on one side so it's not too expensive.
Absolutely. So for the players you have now, are these upperclassmen, or are you bringing in? Are these freshmen?
Majority of them are upperclassmen. So JUCO transfers. Some are returners from last season that are junior are going to be seniors. So there's a few girls that I'm talking to that are incoming freshmen, but majority of them is upper class.
Okay. So, gosh, with you being so new, that alleviates some of my questions because everything's going to be so brand new. And this is going to be interesting because you're the first program I've ever had that is so new like this, and I want to learn as well.
I know it's a little wild, and it's still a little bit surreal for me, but I'm excited to start this program from the ground up and build something that girls are talking about and that want to come here. I want to be on that radar.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more, because that's going to be a situation where, just listening to our conversation, you're probably going to have a number of JUCO coaches hit you up. My gosh. Between JUCO and AAU, they're going to be your new best friends, definitely.
I know.
Yes. It's a matter of how you want to do it. Like, if you want to go older to, be competitive, or if you want to build the program and get some freshmen, or if you want to have a mix. I mean, of course, that's going to be whatever philosophy you choose. But it's just going to be so interesting to see. I'm definitely going to keep my eye out to see how this all pans out. Because even after this year, if you guys get accepted to whatever conference that you choose, then that's a whole nother ballpark. Because correct me if I'm wrong, especially on the D2 side, you have the California, is it the California Athletic Association? That's the D2 conference out there. That's the big one. And that's one of the top D2 conferences in the country.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, which is why I schedule a lot of D2 games this season, to where if we're going to compete at this level next season, we got to be able to see what our competition is.
Absolutely.
Whether, we lose or not, it's a learning experience, and we know what it's like versus, playing, even though if we get wins or playing teams that are not, as competitive, we're going to play at that higher level. We need to be able to, play at that higher level and play teams at that level.
Okay. Well, let me ask this for the listeners out here that are watching this. How can they contact you if they're interested, whether it be players, coaches, JUCO coaches, high school coaches? Are they contacting you directly through Twitter? Or are they going through your email address there at school? How can they get a hold of you to send tape or prospective prospects?
Yeah, they can reach me on Twitter.
Okay.
I believe it's Coach_Longoria.
Okay.
And then at that moment, I can send my email as well.
Okay.
A lot of JUCOs right now have my email. And then some coaches prefer through text message that I've shared my number through there. Okay. But right now, yeah, if you reach me on Twitter, that's perfect.
Okay. And definitely, definitely reach out to her. I tagged you on our little introduction, so your Twitter handle's already on there when I put out the show for tonight as well. What type of style do you plan to play?
I am a run and gun type of coach. I think my energy level as a person matches that style. Very, very energetic, very loud. So playing that style, loud, up in your face, defense wise, getting stills and running the floor is what I like to do.
Okay. So do you plan to play a man style of defense or are you a zone? What's your preference?
I love man.
Okay.
I love it. Okay. I love it. So that will be my first go-to. I think every player should be able to kind of guard their position. And I think that creates a strong defense as well. I think if you can get the man fundamentals, man concepts down, zone just becomes a lot easier. But I am a man. I go to man first before anything.
So for our listeners watching, before you walk right into my next question, how important is it for the young ladies to come into that program and know the Shale drill?
It's 100% important. Being able to know, who your man is, where help side is, just the concepts of shifting and, it's huge. It's huge. It makes coaching so much easier if you just understand those concepts because we can do so much, and having to re-teach that on where you need to be when the ball's on one side and your man's on, it kind of takes away from other things that we can accomplish in practice.
And listen, not every freshman is going to know that. Basically, what we're talking about, especially your JUCO kids that are seasoned, they're going to have that understanding because they've already been in the college, the college atmosphere. So for the most part, they've been taught those principles, and especially some of those top level JUCOs as well. And for the most part, it doesn't matter if it's JUCO D1, JUCO D2, or D3. They're going to know those principles where some young ladies that are coming from high school, it's going to be foreign to them. Like they may have an understanding of what man is, but they might not have a strong grasp of help side and what your expectations in your version of man is.
Correct. And I think also being able to having these upperclassmen that are coming from JUCO, being able to know that, they're allowed, they can be leaders, being able to help teammates, and being able to show them the ones that are confused, the incoming freshmen, if they don't know.
So, and I have to ask this question as well. With you being new and you're going to be in a lot of phone calls trying to get young ladies to come there, and for the people watching, why Lincoln U, California?
It's an opportunity to leave a legacy. I mean, it is to make a name for yourself, to be a part to make a name for the university, to where people, we win these big games and they're like, oh, who's Lincoln University? And being a part of something new, being a part of something bigger than basketball, you know. So it is, you know, especially for the community of Oakland, I think it's important. So you have, because it's new and not on the radar, every girl that comes in, you have an opportunity to make a name for yourself and be a huge role player.
So let me ask this as well, and this is still new. With you all having a graduate program, for these young ladies that are JUCO that play 1 or 2 years, if they have an interest in being a grad assistant, will they be able to come and be a grad assistant coach if they want to come and coach for the program still?
I believe so. That is something that I haven't, just because of the assistants that I do have, the two.
Yes.
I know last year, I believe there was one grad assistant, but I believe it was something in the works. For sure, 100%.
Okay, definitely. And so as you know, take these young ladies and you're molding them into players slash student athletes as well, what is going to be the goal, the 4-year goal?
What is going to be my goal before?
For the 4-year goal, when you bring these young ladies, I'll start with just being the freshman. With being the freshman, like for those 4 years, what's going to be your goal besides making them better players?
I mean, better individuals. I want them to be able to really find their passion in life, you know, in any way, and help them in any way I can, whether that's, you know, trying to play professional overseas, or not playing basketball after college, and going into the career that they want. But being able to empower and to be confident individuals to know that they can accomplish anything that they set their mind to.
So it's so interesting you just said that. So for the young ladies that do have professional aspirations, are you going to help to get them to that, to try and push them to play overseas, or are you going to reach out to some of the overseas connections that you have to try and get them?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I wouldn't be able to push them. I wouldn't be able to help them get to that level. I do know several people that do play overseas right now, both on the men and women's side. And so the contacts that I do have, you know, I will try to connect them. And again, I wouldn't be able to challenge them in this program to where by the time they leave, they have the tools, you know, needed to be successful at that level.
Understood. Listen, I'm excited to see how this turns out, and I'm definitely going to be tuned in to see how this works, because this is the first time I've come across a brand new program, and really this school is somewhat new too, correct?
No, it's actually been around for a long time, since 1919.
So this is they're new with just the athletic part of it.
Correct, new with the athletics. Okay. So, and I mean, it was a small university. Again, they only had two bachelor's programs, and of course they have master's and graduate, but they have business, or they have that specific, you know, bachelor's of science in diagnostic imaging. So I think having athletics is going to help the university grow.
Definitely. Listen, well, let me ask this: what are they known for? What is Lincoln University known for in regards to majors? So when you're going out there, reaching out to prospective athletes, what do you say they excel in, or what is Lincoln known for?
So Lincoln is known for business. They have 4 concentrations in their business program. You know, they have their postgraduate business degrees as well, but business is going to be the main one. They are very big. There's a lot of international students that do come for business. They have a concentration in international relations.
Okay.
So business is their main degree, what they focus on the most at the university.
Got you. Got you. So that's the main one. And
Correct.
what other type of majors do they have as well?
So they have a bachelor's of science in diagnostic imaging,
Okay.
and they have two concentrations under that: sonography and echocardiography.
Okay.
And that's the other bachelor's program. And
Okay.
so it is, for girls that are looking for, kinesiology, psychology, sociology, things in that nature. Unfortunately, we don't have it, but I'm hoping that as athletics gets bigger, that the university has the opportunity to expand and offer more programs.
Listen, it looks like I said, especially with you building on the women's side and with Coach Gary Payton building on the men's side, I'm pretty sure you're going to have a number of people just from a perspective of intrigue to see
Mm-hmm.
where Lincoln is going to turn out, especially when you announce whatever conference you're going to join, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
D2, NAIA, or Division One. That's going to be interesting as well.
Oh,
And
100%.
it sounds like you guys are definitely off to a great start. And I definitely wish you the best of luck. If you need anything from our end, by all means, you know how to contact me, and we're here to help in any way we can.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Again, I'm happy to be on, and I will definitely keep you updated and let you know how the season's going.
Definitely.
And hopefully I can come back on during season and kind of give you some updates.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You are definitely a friend of the show now. You're part of the family, so this will not be your last time coming on because, like I said, we want to see how this turns out as well because we're interested to see how this goes. What conference you're going to be in
Mm-hmm.
and what division is as well. And like I said, I already said it earlier. I'm definitely going to reach out to Coach Payton to get his philosophy on how he's going to build the program as well,
Yeah.
because we want to see this whole program as a whole succeed, women's and men.
Mm-hmm. No, it's gonna be exciting to be able to start something brand new from the ground up. And so, I'm anxious to kind of get there and kind of get my hands wet and dirty and get to work.
It's going to be a lot of 10, 12, 14-hour days. Absolutely.
I'm already constantly doing that now, just making
Okay.
contact. So definitely, I
I,
understand.
I can imagine. I mean, like you said, even the prep before you move out there, I'm sure there's so much in your head that you're probably writing down and putting in notes because, you're trying to get your program together. And once you get there, it's going to be all hands on deck between you, your brother, and the other assistant as well. I mean, you're going to
Hmm.
have so much to do. And gosh, and it's what, July 3rd, and basically less than 60 days.
Yeah, it's cra- I mean, it's coming fast, which is why I'm reaching out to so many people. Of if anybody's interested and wants to play, and hasn't gotten looks, and you're confident in yourself. I'm all ears. Um, I'm all ears. So they can reach out to me via Twitter, but I'm open to anyone as long as they're willing to work hard. Be held accountable for their actions, but again, loves the game. I think this will be a good place for them.
Well, and that leads to my last question. So, are you looking for post player, guards, wings, or are you looking for a little bit of everything?
Almost a little bit of everything. Especially for right now, the fact that I just need to fill my roster. I'm not
Mhm.
going to be too picky, but I do need another solid center, and I need a PG. I need a point guard. I need a solid
Okay.
point guard. So anyone out there that's listening, that's a true point. I am. We're ready for you. I'm welcoming you with open arms. But other than that, I'm looking for really much anybody, any
And
position.
the ironic part about that, I know a point guard out in California too. I just got to check to make sure she hasn't signed yet. But if I'm not mistaken, I know a point guard out there, so I will
Well,
definitely reach out to
I'm
you.
ready. I'm ready for her. I'm ready for her. Point guards are huge. and just, that leader, kind of coach on the court. So, I think I really need a point guard. But other than that, I mean, anyone willing to put in the work, I'll take.
Absolutely. Listen, thank you so much again. I mean, I can see we could easily talk for an hour or so about this program and actually just even past the program, just basketball period. So trust me, you will definitely be coming back on. I can't wait to get you on in the fall. And really, I can't even say in the fall because by the time October, November hits,
I know.
your schedule will be.
It's gonna be nuts. I know. My first game is October 28th. And then after that, we're almost playing like every week. We're in a tournament in November. And we got, 2 games. So it's gonna be packed.
I can imagine. I wish you all the best, and I definitely want a Lincoln U California shirt. I definitely want one of those.
I will. Just send me what to send, and I'll send you one.
Absolutely. Thank you so much again, and we will definitely be in touch. Okay.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me on again.
Anytime. You take care. Okay.
We will. Happy 4th.
All right. Same to you. Coach Longoria, listen, I'm excited for her to see how this is all going to turn out. Again, this was the first for me having a brand new program like that. Even though the school's established, this is, they're bringing athletics to board in year 2. I want to see how it works out. And, I'm definitely wishing her all the best because I want to see that program be successful. And, maybe she can be the next Gonzaga, so to speak, and turn that into a power out of nowhere, especially on the D2 side. And so, whatever conference, whether it be on D2, NAI, or if they're fortunate enough to move up to D1. Our next guest, man, I'm excited for this one. Like, I saw them play about 2 weeks ago. I saw them play down in Columbus at the JUCO Showcase down here in Georgia, and I was impressed with his team. And I just reached out, and it turns out we have some things in common, and I wanted to bring him on the show. I want everybody to welcome Coach Alan Raglin from Atlantic Cape Community College. How you doing today, brother?
Hey, brother, how you doing? Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, man, I'm good, man. Thank you for coming on to the show, man. I know you said you were out and about, and, I'm glad to have you on the show. And then I wanted to introduce everybody that doesn't know about your program, because I know you're well known on the East Coast, but for the people that don't know you in the South, this is another option. First off, let's start off. Are you JUCO D1 or JUCO D2?
We JUCO D3.
D3. Okay. And you JUCO, and I'm glad you said that because I'm from Pittsburgh. So one of the JUCO D3s is Community College of Allegheny County. So I'm very familiar with JUCO D3. And it's funny you said that because, there's a lot of people that have no idea about JUCO D3. And the first thing that'll come out their mouth is, man, that's not real basketball. You can't go to school from JUCO D3. Well, we're here tonight to dispel those rumors.
Yes, I mean, you watch firsthand how, I don't know if you watched the game against Brunswick, another D1. We handled them steadily, and we was trying to get on their schedule, but we could. They didn't allow us on the schedule this year. Hopefully, we get on there. And then we had Chipola at one point by 15. And they came back after a couple, injuries. There's no excuse. They beat us by 1. But that we talking about a premier program such as Chipola that's produced a number of future NBA players.
Absolutely. Everybody knows what Chipola is down in Florida. Everybody knows about them. And it's funny you said that because one of my good friends down here in Atlanta, who's an assistant coach, he went to a JUCO D3, and he talks just the same way you do to say, man, we used to play those JUCO D1s and give them trouble. But, a lot of people always think because it's JUCO D1 that they're untouchable. And listen, like we said, there are some awesome JUCO D1s. There's no question about that. But there's some really good JUCO D3s. And you're putting kids in school as well, and I want to talk about that, man.
Yeah, I mean that's something that well, I don't say I'm known for. I guess I wasn't cognizant of it to think about how many kids I did place in school or who I helped get into school, rather basketball or not. I just never paid it no mind. So it's like it comes natural because especially if these kids is out here working, I know when they come to play for me and work and train with me, they're going to get a scholarship. You know what I mean? I call these coaches personally, and most coaches know I don't oversell a player. If a player can't play at that level, I don't place them at that level. I place them accordingly to their level. And sometimes even if they high major, I'll be like, yo, come on to go mid major, come on, go low major. So to me, it's about the education first and foremost. That's what I believe in, producing future leaders of this world. That's first and foremost. So that's the character that has to be. The character has to be there. The will to work has to be there.
Okay, and now, man, I'm going to pick your brain tonight because, a lot of times everybody understands that JUCO grind is nothing to play with. Like, you have to really want it when you go on JUCO. But the other thing is, a lot of times when you're a freshman, it's hard for you to crack that lineup when you got 6 or 7 sophomores already, and they're trying to move on to the next level. Now, of course, you're going to have some freshmen that are qualifiers, and they'll have possibly the opportunity to move on right away. But, man, a lot of times when it's a JUCO, you're going to have to put in that second year because that first year, it's a learning experience. And you got those killers that are sophomores that are trying to move on to 4-year universities. They're not too keen about a freshman coming to take their minutes.
Right. And that's the atmosphere that I'm building here at Atlantic Cape. Atlantic Cape is not known to really produce a lot of players. They haven't had no D1 coaches come on the campus and watch your practices. I mean, I was blessed to coach David Coit this past year. He was a first team All-American. He was player of the year of the region in the conference. You know what I mean? This kid moved on to Northern Illinois where
yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, this kid is going, if this kid don't make honorable mention his first year, something's wrong at Northern Illinois. He's remarkable. And just imagine you saw us play. Now, just imagine if I would have brought David Coit back to go along with this team that I had.
Oh, yeah. You wouldn't, you might have gotten Chipola like that, man, because that team was athletic.
And we didn't play with Sean Spellman against Chipola. That the number 0 kid who did the 6'6" kid that, was dunking on everyone, pulling up jumpers, Josh Howard type, player.
He was hurt, right? Wasn't he hurt?
Yeah, he got badly dehydrated, so I didn't even take that chance in playing him.
Okay. And I'm glad you just mentioned something. So with you building this program as well, so now that you're getting a little name for yourself, you're going to start inviting some of those teams like a Coppin or Maryland, Baltimore County, or
I already, Coach, ever since because I still own Isaiah Christopher Academy post grad. So my post grad, all we do is play prep schools. I mean, D1 JUCOs. We played Cape Fear, we played Monroe. We go after anybody that say they good. I'm coming after you. Win, lose, or draw, it don't matter. My kids feel as though they want to play on this stage. My kids feel as though they want to go to the NBA overseas. I'm their first stop, so I have to prepare them for that level of play. And I'm no fear. I don't back down. We don't have no positions on our team. You saw us play, and you saw every kid that get the ball, they had to dribble. They ain't dribble, they had to come out.
So let me ask this. Man, that's a tough gig to have a post grad and a JUCO. How did you pull that off?
Well, to be honest, I'm blessed because with the COVID came along. One of my former players got the AD job, Jamal Edwards. He got the AD job. So we was in COVID anyway, and he was just like, "Hey, the coach just walked off. I need you to come take over these last 5 games." And I was reluctant, but once again, it's not about me. Team player, he's one of my guys. So I said, "All right, come on, let's go. It's time to build this program into a powerhouse, a well-known." So for these last 2 years, I've been focusing on Atlantic Cape, building it like I'm doing recruiting in every state there is. I'm in recruiting overseas. It doesn't matter, Canada. I'm recruiting you.
Okay.
And that's how I am with the prep school team. I was still recruiting, and I have kids coming in from Baltimore, Maryland for the prep team, from all over. So, I mean, this is what I love to do.
And the big boy up there in Baltimore, that's Mount Zion from the post grad side. Everybody knows about Mount Zion. So they got.
They
Do
had
you play
one of
them
our
on the
guys.
post grad side?
No, well, we looking to play them as well. I mean, everyone asked me to, expand with Isaiah Christopher Academy and, get back on it because, I mean, we went as far as Indiana, we went to Boston, we was in that knapsack conference, and then we played all the JUCOs. So, I mean, from that, one of my guys had went to Maryland Eastern Shore. One of my guys went to what's that? Where Hank Gathers and them play. I can't think. Laloy
Marymount.
Yeah, so all our kids who I placed, some went D2. I mean, some went to Tallahassee JUCO. I mean, we were prepared. So that's what it's all about.
So, and I'm glad you just said that because now I want to get into something that, I'm not even gonna say it's a sticky topic because you already take care of business. Just listening to you, that means you're calling coaches of all levels, and you've already said that. But one of the biggest things about this, you see so many guys, sometimes coaches per se, from a JUCO perspective, and I call it they only big game hunt. And they're only looking for them D1s to place all their kids in D1, where both of us know that's not the case. You got kids that are D1 potential. There's kids that are D2 up there where you're at. The PSAC is a great conference up there as well. There's kids that are D3. You got Averett University. You got a number of D3s in that area where you're at that are good, that are very
good. Stockton's one.
And that's what I'm saying. And you have to me, that's why I've always been big. Even like on AAU, you see a lot of coaches only try and get D1s and occasionally a D2. No, you need to be reaching out to these NAI coaches, these D3 coaches, these JUCO D1s, D2s. And unfortunately, some of them don't even know what D3 is or independent, JUCO independent. And that's why I just shake my head because you're not studying your craft if that's the case. And that's not a help to all these kids if you don't know every avenue to turn. Like if I can call Coach Raglin, like, hey, Coach Raglin, I got a kid. But see, what people don't understand is I have to tell kids, you can't play for him at JUCO D3. He got killers. And they look at me like, you just said I can't go JUCO D3. Until you actually take them to somewhere like the JUCO showcase in Georgia and be like, okay, there you go. They're playing right now.
You saw how my little guard is tenacious on D. We were swarming. We were swarming all over.
But see, that's my point. That's just like that whole D1 mentality. You and I both know there's some D2s that will knock off D1s right now. We know there's some D3s that can knock off some D1s, some NAIs that can knock off. But see, nobody ever talks about that. It's always perceived if you're going a level down that you can't play, which is complete nonsense.
Your game is your game. That's why we lace them up. Your game is your game. Your name is just something that people jocking you off, that want to write about you, but they don't see the other players. As you saw my team. All of my team, I go after all underrated players. I don't. If you're a star or something, you don't need me. You don't need me. You already got your ticket written, even though someone to come play for me. But that's not how I go about things. I love underrated guys. I know they're gonna work hard. We're gonna get in the gym. and we're gonna work. And if you can deal with one of my workouts, you know, I say, hey, you're gonna be okay. A lot of guys that can't deal with it, they don't come back. I mean, my tryout last year, a kid was trying out and he ran straight out the gym, left his bag and everything, and never came back. Never came back.
But you know what? Kids need to see. They not only they need to see that, but they need to experience to understand that it's okay that this may not be for you, because in order to make it in today's basketball world, you have to push yourself to limits you've never been. And coaches have high expectations no matter what the level is.
Coaches are losing their salaries to take care of their family because they getting the wrong kid in the wrong program.
Absolutely.
A lot of these guys are watering down, saying that they have this, and they setting their kid up and that coach up for failure. You know, I know when I send kids to college and I see they coach get fired, I'll be like, yo, you're part of his reason of he getting fired. You didn't go out there and do enough for that coach. Regardless if he can coach or not, if you didn't play your heart out for him, you're part of the reason, because you can't win. You can't help him win.
So here's my next thing, and I consider this a blessing for you as well, because the way the portal is set up now, it's not going to be but too much longer. You're going to start getting D2, NAI, and some D1 drop downs coming to you. Because when you put out that record of putting people in school, people are going to want to be a part of that.
Yeah, well, we already had it. For instance, the kid that you asked me about, Zaire Rogers. I've been recruiting Zaire for 3 years. I placed Zaire when he was coming out. Zaire to me had a lot more talent than what you saw. And I called Ace Curtis at Virginia Tech about him. I mean, Ace loved him. Ace was like, Rags, he's right there, what we looking for. So that's where, as though I'm like, he went to Slippery Rock for whatever reason, he didn't excel or do what he had to do there. You know, I think he's a lot more hungrier because he's playing for somebody that's not going to allow him to rest on his laurels. I don't care if he dropped 50 and 25 rebounds. There's something still left in your game that you have to do.
Absolutely. And man, just listening to, like, well, first of all, when I saw, I was like, okay, they're coming down from New Jersey. And this spoke a lot for you as well, because, man, you're traveling all over to get these kids the exposure that they need. And that's a lot of JUCOs don't do that. Like, you know, we're spoiled here in Georgia because we have some of the best events. And when we start seeing the Atlanta Capes, and we start seeing the John Logans, and we start seeing these schools that are coming from the Bryant and Stratton out of Virginia, like those type of schools that are regulars at these events, the first thing we say is, oh, they're for real. They're coming down here and traveling, more than likely driving. They're not flying.
Yeah, we drove two 7-passenger vans.
Exactly. And that's my point, to get that, get that exposure, because, man, that JUCO team camp down here is phenomenal. Like, if I'm not mistaken, there was over 200 coaches there. And, please believe, I know some of them were talking about some of your guys. So that goes without saying. So for you to put them in those type of situations, and now you're setting them up for, now September comes, I'm sure you're going to have coaches like, Coach, I'd like to come through to a practice because I like what I saw down in Georgia.
Yeah. Well, they told me there. They were like, Rags, what you new D1 JUCO, D2 JUCO? I was like, no, we D3. It's like, what? It's like, Rags, you got a Division I team here. But what I loved about it, though, and what nobody really know, is I recruited these guys and we talked for a long time. But the thing that we talked about is playing hard all the time. And that's what I love, that the coaches stated, that we played extremely hard, like it was a championship game, like it was no tomorrow. But what a lot of people don't know is half of them guys just met each other in person the night before we played.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But we've been bonding for probably the last month and a half, 2 months over the phone and our group chats. You know, we talking. So as I tell people, as I'm building this program, you can't just build this program off of wins and losses.
Yeah.
You have to build the character up. You have to build the courage up in these guys to make them want to come out and play hard for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I do with these guys I recruited. I mean, I missed out. I'm gonna say I missed out on at least about 35, 40 guys that I really wanted, that I liked, that they wanted me
35
too.
or 40?
Yeah, that they wanted me too. Like it was crazy because they wanted to come here. I wanted them to come here, but we don't get scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get none. So these people coming on their own. So it's an honor for them to come and say they want to play for Coach Rags, but they know that what they have to give. As I stated before, half of these guys that I tell them, you're not coming here and wasting your parents' money. If you're not going to come here and work, you can't come. I don't care how good you are.
Okay. So, and as I'm listening to you, you put me to mind of another very good JUCO D3 that I'm familiar with, and that's Sand Hills College in North Carolina. That's another quality program as well that doesn't get to do that they deserve because, you know, they have that stench of older JUCO D3. And I'm like, man, they can play. They can play. And that's one of the things, that's why I wanted to start bringing more than just JUCO D1s on here. I wanted to bring on the JUCO D2s, the JUCO D3s, because people don't know about this quality style of basketball. Now, yes, you don't give out scholarships. Now, let me ask this. What is the tuition to go there?
It's between $5,000 and $6,000. And then we have off-campus housing that's probably going to come to another $3,500 for the year.
If you full Pell, well, let me ask this: do you have out-of-state fees?
Well, we give our kids in-county rates because they live in the county. They live in county from the apartment, so you qualify for in-county rates.
So if I come from out of state and I live in the apartment, I can get in county?
Yeah, because you live there.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, man, shoot. A full Pell almost covers everything.
Exactly. I mean, people don't realize that you're still going to school for free. People don't realize if you're getting a half academics and a half athletic, that's a scholarship. You're still paying zero zip to nero for school. So
absolutely. And see,
I use the system though, honestly, Coach. It's a system that I use with these guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's a system. I'll come back here. It's a system that we use, Coach, and it's more so like, okay, even if you had to come out of pocket the first year, and take out student loans. If you come in here and do what you have to do and you get busy, you get the scholarship. So, and you're a full Pell kid, or you have to take out a loan. Once you get that federal financial aid return check back, you can pay your loan off with that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And like you said, you're taking advantage of the system the right way when you're showing those kids how to do that. You know, a lot of people don't have any idea because let me ask this, and since we're really touching on this, does Atlantic Cape have work study?
Yes. Well, our whole team just about do work study.
There you go, right there. So with work study and full Pell, you're getting a refund.
Yes, anyway.
Exactly. And see,
and this is what I tell kids.
Mm-hmm.
There's too many opportunities for you to make excuses for wanting your degree.
Mm-hmm. And so, like I said, nobody cares when you sign to go, whether it's to Atlantic Cape or Chipola or JUCO D2. Nobody's looking on that paper to see if you're getting a full Pell in work study or if you got a full D1 athletic ride. Don't nobody care about that. If you're going for free, free is free.
Free is free. I mean, look, I mean, I had a chance to, even with this team with David Coy that just left, I had Latrell Reed that we placed at St. Peter's that was on this team that was just making a run this year.
Yeah,
he was going to be out start. He was going to be out starting guard. He started 12 games for St. Peter's this year. So the perception of and this kid, he was good enough to go for a scholarship, but he sacrifices. You got to make sacrifices, get what you really want, and work hard towards it.
Oh, absolutely. And again, I'm gonna say this 100 times over. It doesn't matter how you get there, as long as you get there. So if you got there with a full athletic ride, great. If you got there with full Pell and work study, great. You still got there. You all just got there in a different direction. That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
Yeah, and I just look at this, like I said, with you being savvy enough to have these kids be able to say, hey, if you're going to come here, are you full Pell? We can get you work study, and if they do have to take out a loan, that loan is marginal. It's under $2,000 more than likely.
Exactly. And then you get your scholarship and you get full Pell, you can pay that right back off.
So let me ask this other important question. So for the kids that you have that are somewhat studious, can they get an academic scholarship from Atlantic Cape?
Yes, they do. Atlantic Cape has offered a lot of programs that we're not known for, people don't know about, but some do, some don't. But Atlantic Cape is definitely a place. I mean, especially with the COVID money that's going on right now. Mm-hmm. It's just a lot. It's just a lot of opportunity for you right now. And that's what our kids is capitalizing on as I bring them in. And then I don't stop there. I send them to 360scholarship.com to also fill out
that merit money. Absolutely.
Yeah. And get all kinds of there's a lot of programs I reach out and touch, to make sure our kids, try to help get them set up.
Man, when I say we are 100% on the same page, because there are so many programs in ways like, a lot of people, like you said, are saying, well, coach, I don't have the money, but are you using every available resource to take advantage of an opportunity that you could possibly have? Now, yes, I get knowledge is power. And yes, it is on us a lot of times to show them the way. But once you are shown the way, if you don't take advantage, like, okay, like we just said, like in a couple minutes talking to you, and I asked what the tuition was, you told, I was like, well, shoot, full Pell can almost take care of that. Okay, do you get work study? Okay, cool. Okay, like you said, then you took it even further and say you taking them to 360.com, and if they get 500, 1,000, 1,500, 2,500, now we're talking about, okay, everything's paid for. Now you go to the registrar's office and get that refund check that we're talking about.
Exactly. I mean, they had. I look at it like this: a kid and their parents had 17 years to invest in the right ways and the right training. If you want to make that sacrifice of getting that scholarship, which some scholarships can be 50,000, 20, whatever it may be, but you still could invest, and the kid could even worked harder to overcome certain obstacles of getting a scholarship, because not every kid is going to go to college on the basketball scholarship. Let's just be at all levels. But if you have a chance to get to college and still play on the team, you're still living out your dream. It's just you're not getting it for free. Mm-hmm. You're still living out the dream, but you can make it become free.
And that's. Everybody wants, well, I'm not going to say everybody, that's a bad analogy. A lot of people want it handed to them and not have to work for it. What they don't understand, especially if you're under 6'2", there are so many guards out here that are of that level or better. and you have to really stand out for somebody to invest in you like that. So sometimes it takes that tenacity to say, I've showed coach I want this. I went a roundabout way to get the money, because what a lot of people don't understand is if you have the grades, and let's say you graduate from Atlantic Cape, and let's say you graduate at 3.5 and you start applying for that merit money, now you can be savvy enough to say, hey, coach, I'd like to come here. I already got academic money. I'm full Pell, and it's not going to cost your program a thing for me. They're going to look at you like, well, yeah, definitely come and walk on, be a preferred walk on, or whatever the case may be. And now you're showing how hungry you really are. And now those assistants, if you're going in there busting your butt, they're like, listen, this guy really wants it. He was savvy enough to find his way in here. It didn't cost us a thing. He deserves a scholarship. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I tell people all the time, at the next level, you know, if you are that guy, the coach is going to come get you and work with you and put you in a system somehow. But also, it's like building a house. You know what I mean? You gotta cover everything, from electricity, from the flooring, from the gas. You know, you gotta cover everything. I mean, I built my team like a puzzle. Mm-hmm. Like a puzzle. I build it from the puzzle. So I don't go looking for all stars. I go looking for people that want to learn this game. We have no positions, and I'm gonna teach you. I just need your work ethic.
Okay. Now let's step into some of the real stuff now. What do you play? What's your philosophy? Are you a man guy? Are you a zone guy?
I'm a straight D. I want straight up. I'm Nolan Richardson. You got the straight up D. I mean, last year we only had 6 or 7 players. We finished 18-6. I mean, we had a great year. The first time the school, you know, shared the conference tournament, you know, conference championship. I mean, I'm a tenacious guy, and then we're gonna run it down I want to score about 100 to 120 points a game. I don't want this one player averaging all points. I want 5 to 6 guys in double figures.
Absolutely.
Now you can't defend us. You saw it. You saw it.
Yeah.
You saw it.
It's funny you mentioned that. Like, one of the biggest things is, you know, people, I want to put up 25 or 30. Well, if you got 6 guys averaging 10 to 15 points, you become a real problem real fast.
Yes.
And especially with that style of play that you like, where you got those kids up pressing, they're playing that hectic, hard-nosed, scrappy type of way, you know, that's a shock to some kids. They're like, wait a minute, this guy is always on me. And you'll see some of the star kids get irritated sometimes because they don't like somebody always in their space like that. They want to be able to get off and be like, oh, well, he's just going to play a foot or two off me, and I can do some of these signature moves and they'll work. Nah, when you got somebody on you 24/7, you got to work. You got to work just to get the ball, let alone make a move.
I told Wanye Cologne, I said, hey, that's the kid from Chipola. You give him an inch, boy, you don't know which direction he going to turn. So you can't give him ground to do his move. You got to stay up on it. And most players is not used to the defense that you saw us play. Exactly. I mean, we had weak side help. We had other guys, you know, because we was long, active. We recovered, you know, when someone, you know, got beat. I mean, like, they're gonna learn. And the thing about it is, all of those guys were new except for 2. This is a whole new roster except for 2 guys.
So you placed everybody from last year?
Everybody, just about. Well, we lost a couple. I mean, they just didn't like my style. They quit the team. But most of my guys are all placed. I had 1 or 2 that couldn't take my coaching and transferred out. Okay. You know, but they developed. So they developed real well. But it was just they stated that they didn't know this what basketball entails. They didn't know. I mean, We waking up some mornings at 4 o'clock, 4:30. We're going to practice. After class, we back in practice. We running 28-second suicides. Our practices, you're going to run at least about 8 to 10 miles a day in our practice.
Excellent shape then.
Yeah.
But what they don't understand is it's not like your style is just something that's just, if they don't get it now, they're going to get it on the next level.
Yeah.
So you only prolonging the inevitable.
My guy at Northern State said, Coach, other guys are looking at me like I'm crazy because he's handling everything. They was like, yo, what's going on? They was like, you don't know what I just left.
Yeah, exactly. And so you just said it earlier. I get you're a JUCO coach, but even still, like, you have a job. And for those guys that are in 4-year programs that are making 100 to 1 million plus, man, you got to go if you can't do what I ask. Plain and simple. You got to go.
Right. And that's
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying a lot of guys don't understand that. Like, this is how they're feeding their families. This is how the wife doesn't work. This is how the kids are in private schools, elite private schools. Like, this is how the bills are paid. And you're not going to get in the way of that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the way I teach my guys is life experiences on the court. So, you can't go out and get a job and not going to do the work and expect to get paid. You can't buy your house. You're not going to be able to afford that car that you want, that house. And in return, I'd be like, oops, there go the woman that you wanted to, because you can't even afford her. I mean, I just mess with them every kind of way, though. But I honestly, I'm thankful. God is great. God is good that I'm able to coach the guys and the guys that want to come play for me. I'm always happy about it.
Listen, man, I love what you guys are doing up there, and man, with the limited resources that you have, and you're still able to do those things, man, that's big time. They better be glad you don't have 9 or 10 JUCO D1 scholarships. You would be a complete problem, and you already won as is.
I already say that all the time, boy. I use my dollar to recruit these kids, but it's all good. I mean, like I said, I'm doing it. God bless me with this ability. I love what I've been doing. So honestly, I'm trying to uplift all the JUCOs in our area. Like I said, I want all the JUCOs to win. I want us to be competitive, like in Kansas and Florida and in Texas. I want to be known. Arizona. We flying out to Arizona this year because I need to make some noise in their area.
I got you. Are you gonna go to Jerry's event this year?
In Dallas, we have plans to go to the Jamboree. It's hard to get in touch with those guys, but me and Jerry's pretty close.
Okay.
We're looking to go to the Jamboree in Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
You and I talked about something that we're going to announce soon. So
yeah, absolutely. And that, like I said, if you let the cat out the bag, and I'm fine with that. Like, we will be announcing something for October really soon. So, I'm going to bring you back on when we announce that. When everything is finalized, I can't wait for that, because that's going to send some shockwaves. People going to be on alert, because there's going to be some quality stuff for that one.
Yeah. And other guys that try to get me to come along with them, they're going to be really, dang, but God don't make no mistakes.
Definitely. And man, my thing is, even past bringing the quality talent there, you brought up one thing that hit home so much. I want to see these kids get on. And that's the biggest thing. I don't want to just bring, I had the top team come, and they come and they leave. Okay, yeah, that fills the stands. That's great. but that's not what this is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about that kid that is the 7th and 8th and 9th person on the team still being able to get on and get a college scholarship or an opportunity to be able to play. That's what these jamborees are supposed to be about.
Right. And I mean, be honest, I used to look at Bobby Hurley and just be like, even the players on his bench got scholarships or went to school, was able to play because they may not have played in games, but they know they are being pushed and coached and practiced to where as though they good enough from practice to still get a scholarship or be offered to play on the college team. That's the culture. That's the culture that I always believed in. Is no man left behind. Let's work to get you somewhere. And now with all these different conferences that they have, along with the NAIA, NCAA, and it's so many others, that you're able to go and you're able to get some money, but you're not going to get all the money. So long as you get money and you're living out your dreams, I don't see the problem.
Absolutely, man. I couldn't agree with you more, man. And like I said, when we first started talking and we just start talking ideas and vibing, I was like, oh yeah, he's right up my alley. I'm definitely on board with him, man. And man, I'm glad to have met you, man. And I can't wait to put some things together and make it happen, man. Definitely.
Likewise. I'm looking to working with you with a lot of things that will be announced soon. I'm blessed to have met you, and we always hit each other on Twitter, but we never met. And then you was in Columbus, which I'm blessed that you were able to see our guys, because with me working the phone lines, people like, well, I never heard of y'all, never. That's why we drove down there, and we played. We played.
And you hit it right on the head. Like, to be honest, I wouldn't have known about you until I saw you and Joe. I was like, gosh, this team can play. And you start fumbling through the little roster, like, who is this? Okay, you're from Atlantic City. Okay, I'm from Pittsburgh. So okay, I'm familiar with that area. Okay. And so I'm just starting to pay attention. Now I'm looking at rosters, and I'm looking at names. And like you said, you never know who's watching you. You never know where the blessing comes, whatever the case may be. And I'm just looking. And now I'm going on Twitter. I'm looking around. I'm like, man, I got to know more about this program. And, like I said, I have no problem reaching out. And, one thing just led to another, man. And when you start talking philosophies and beliefs and stuff like that, especially from a basketball perspective, here we are.
Yeah, here we are. It's a blessing. I mean, like I said, it's always about helping the next one out. I didn't go as far as I should have or could have, probably because I had the distractions and everything. So I make sure all of my guys, my pride and joy comes from seeing my guys and girls graduate college. Now they're able to make a living for themselves. They able, and they be like, wow, just imagine if I would have took it even a lot more serious and trained in the gym, got in the gym, what could have happened? I mean, look, we got doctors, we got lawyers, we got athletic directors, teachers, border patrol. Like, I'm happy that I look around and see the kids that I work with. So now they all come back. That's the thing. We're a family. They all come back. So now they helping push the rest of these new guys around to where so I can sit back now. Now that I'm grandfather, then I can sit back and let them work with these guys and girls, because now they went through it. They know what it takes.
Absolutely, man. I couldn't agree with you more, man. Like I said, man, I can't wait to make this thing rock and roll, man, and just really do this the right way so these kids are getting opportunities that they deserve, man. And that's the one thing I'm passionate about, things being done the right way and given the opportunities, whether it be from the post grad, whether it be from JUCO, whether it be from AAU. I've just been passionate about that. So, I'm in the gym, I'm in Orlando, I'm in Dallas, I'm I'm in Salt Lake City. I'm in Oklahoma City for Jerry's new event, and that one was through Cody instead of Scott. Excuse me. That was
right.
that was the other event, which was honestly that wasn't a bad event. That wasn't a bad event either out in Oklahoma City. But I was at the Midwest JUCO out in Illinois, at Southern Illinois. That was another good one. That's how I got to see John Logan for the first time, and I was like, "Who is this?"
Yeah,
So,
that's where the kid got drafted from, John Logan, a couple years ago.
Yeah. And just like when I went to Georgia, and I was all over the place that weekend. I was up at Lake Point for the Georgia Basketball Coaches Association, their high school live period event. But I was like, man, I got to get down to Columbus at least for a day. And man, I was so glad I got down there because lo and behold, here you are. And I'm like, man, who is this?
Yeah.
So, man, I'm in the gym, and when I see opportunities like that, I want to get to know that person. I want to pick their brain. I mean, what are y'all doing to be like this?
Right. Well, we building. I mean, this is only my second year here. This is only my second year. Last year we was ranked for the first time. I love the fact that not myself, because I'm a shy in the back when somebody start talking. Coach Raglin, I'm gonna just fade right away from you. But I love it that the school got the recognition because Atlantic Cape is now on the map. I love it that our players got placed. We won more than losing. The school is always losing games. So I mean, I love the fact that our area, Atlantic County, Atlantic City, Pleasantville, like our area, Atlantic County area, South Jersey, we're looking to not only let people know that it's a JUCO and a college that can win something big and produce. We looking to do that. Other than Camden High School, I mean, South Jersey. Other than Camden, you don't hear too much. I mean, look at Stockton State College. They just made a heck of a run this year, and they still didn't get the respect. I don't.
And like you said, nobody knew, and that's the thing for me. I want to know about those type of stories. Like I said, when I saw you guys, and I'm scratching my head, like I've never heard of this program, and I'm like, it has to be something wrong for them to play this well, and nobody knows about them. And maybe not past Virginia per se. And my thing is
not even that far.
Wow. And that's my thing. And that makes it even worse. Like, of course, like we said, everybody knows Chipola. Everybody knows the Moberly, Missouris, the John Logans. They know all the Texas JUCOs. Like you said, it's time to get to know that Maryland area JUCO because, number one, we all know Maryland, D.C. area high school basketball is very good.
Right.
We know that, but like you said, when you mention JUCO, everybody's looking around like, who? I never heard of them. Until you get a taste of them, you're like, whoa, wait a minute. What's going on here? Now you're asking questions. Why don't we know about them? And,
that's all they kept saying.
Say it again?
All that weekend, that's all they kept saying.
Yeah. But to be honest, it took you to come down here. If you would have said, I'm going to stay right there in Atlantic City and we're going to build this, you really would be hurting yourself because, yeah, you guys are good, but until you get on these platforms and stages where there's 200 plus coaches and everybody's like, man, who is? Now people are starting to talk outside of Maryland, like, hey, man, go check them out, man. They can play. Right. Now it's a different ball game.
Right. Because all them coaches, I know all of them coaches. I knew all of them because I sent my kids over the years, so they know. But they be like, Rags, who you have, because they not coming to New Jersey because who are we playing? So that's why I have to go out to make the schedule. But they always know I produce players. I don't never send them somebody, but I want them to see not this one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, not seven, but the whole team was out there rocking and balling.
Mm-hmm.
The whole team. It was all like it wasn't a black spot where though I couldn't say, okay, come on, come there and come there. So, you know, anywhere I looked on my bench, I can say, come on, get in the game for different reasons. And they understood defense wins championships.
Absolutely.
So they know you got to play hard for Coach Rags, because I'm going to fight for you. I'm going to fight for you.
Yeah.
So you got to fight for yourself.
And you did, man. Yeah, listen, you definitely did that. You put them on a platform to where now people know, like, you know, down here in Georgia, one of the big boys is Georgia Highlands. They're one of the big premier programs here. Right next to us in Alabama, Shelton State is one of the premier programs as well. To be honest, it's time to start putting you guys in that conversation real soon. But of course, the narrative is going to be, oh, well, they're JUCO D3. Well, they came down here and they punching folks in the mouth. You got to give them respect. Whether you do it during the summertime or whether you do it at Scott Golden's event or whether you do it at Jerry Mullins. And if you're forcing a narrative like that, where you're coming to all these events and like, man, we want all the smoke. Listen, I'm writing about it.
Right. I appreciate it.
And you have to, because then you're not a basketball purist if you're not given the respect that's due.
Right. And we're going out to face anybody. Like me in Tallahassee was supposed to play this year. Mm-hmm. Their schedule got filled up right away. I mean, a lot of this came after, you know, the Brunswick and Chipola. So a lot of people like, we're gonna play you next year. You know what I mean? Yeah. I was looking to play. Hey, like I said, we're not ducking nothing. In order for us to build this program, and I say us, because not me, because it takes everyone from the professors at the school, the financial aid people at the school, everybody. We're one family around Atlantic Cape, and that's the way. That's been my motto wherever I go. It's a family. So for us to build this program the way that it needs to be built, we have to continue to go places. We have to continue, and I you know, I'm doing the own fundraising, because you know our budget don't allow us to go out there and do these things that I'm doing right now.
Absolutely. I know. You automatically know I know. So.
Yeah, I mean, D3, we don't make a lot of money. We don't got a big budget. I mean, we're going to Arizona. We're Arizona, you know, they putting us up, you know, because how y'all call them, the money games?
Yeah.
Chipola offer us to come down and they're going to make sure we okay. So
you gonna play in that Chipola tournament?
They asked me to play in it after that game.
And that's a good tournament too. That's a real good tournament.
I was honored. I was honored, but we're D3. But look, we knocking down doors.
Definitely. Hey man, listen, we could sit up here and talk all night when it comes to this, man. I appreciate you coming on. You will be back on very soon, because when we drop that announcement, you will be on here as well.
I appreciate you having me. It's a blessing. I wanted to get the word out about Atlantic Cape through all the states, because I'm recruiting in every state. It's not one state I'm not turning that rock under. From Wisconsin to South Dakota, wherever you are, I've been recruiting them this year.
Okay.
Vegas, I'm out there. So I appreciate you having me.
Oh man, anytime, man. You know, like I said, you know, you family on the show now, man. So anytime, man. And like I said, we'll be talking really soon to make that big announcement, okay?
I'm looking forward to it. Let's shock the world.
All right, man. You take care, okay?
All right, brother. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. Listen, if you don't know about Coach Raglin now, you're going to know about him real soon, because what I saw down in Georgia at the JUCO team camp, listen, I was standing right there with the coaches and everybody like, who is this? And I'm like, I don't know, But in my mind, I was like, I'm going to get to find out. And so I took the initiative. Like, he's running a great program. He has those kids playing hard. And listen, he's getting results at the end of the day. And that's what all that matters. So my hat's off to that brother, man. I support anything like that all the time. Our next guest is this is one of our regular guests, because this is important in my mind, and it should be important for everybody when we start talking about sports medicine and athletic injuries. I've had her on the show, and she's a regular on the show now because I wanted to make this very important for not only parents, coaches, and players to understand the importance of sports medicine and athletic training and to prevent some of these sports injuries, because we're seeing far too many kids that are dropping off with, man, I mean, the way we play now, we're seeing knee injuries, shoulder injuries. We're seeing torn hamstrings. We're seeing blown Achilles. Like, I've had doctors talk to me like, as some of the injuries are unheard of from like 15, 20 years ago, that you're seeing kids 15 and 16 experience now. So without further ado, I want to introduce, as usual, our sports medicine athletic trainer of Hoops Hitting Gyms podcast, Dr. Erin Hasler. How you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm good. I'm out here trying to hustle as usual, just trying to make a couple dollars. You know how it is.
I do.
So, as usual, this is your segment, and, I love hearing what you have to say in regards to the sports medicine stuff, because, some of the stuff you even talk about, and like when we finish talking a lot of times, I'm like, man, I didn't even think about that. And then, look, I start paying attention to my son and some of his movements and be like, oh gosh, we need to work on that. So, especially that core, we're big on that core strength. And I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to have to get in the gym.
We're real big on that.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. Definitely. So what do you have in tune today that we're going to talk about?
So, we just finished the high school live period, right? Mm-hmm. So these kids aren't playing just on the weekend now. Now they're playing all week. 3-4 games during the week, practices, and those kids that have private trainings too. So you're looking at overload.
Yes.
Right. So we really need them to be ready as we go into the July live period. This is when everyone is really wanting to show up, and they really, really want to shine. And so just talking a little bit about that transition. It's a different style of play. As we move back into July, they knew what it looked like in May. Mm-hmm. June looked very, very different. You got to overload. Now you got to be hot in July, and then prepping toward the school year. So one of the things I noticed when I was out there, during the team camps was sometimes there wasn't a big break between the games. Sometimes there was a rescheduled game, right? So you think you're playing at 4 and 7. Somebody rescheduled, canceled, didn't make it, whatever it is. Now it's 4, 5, 6. They move everything up. That doesn't give kids a lot of time to recover.
Yeah.
So like a recommendation I would make to parents is to prep their kids for that mentally, right? Is that going in? For the coaches, prep your kids. Whatever it says on the schedule might not be what it is on the schedule. Mm-hmm. Coming in and being prepared. And then as we transition into this July, now they're back on their own. They got to figure out that health piece without having all the supporting staff. They may go to team. Well, of course, if it's truly a live period, there's going to be an athletic training setup or a trainer on site, but that doesn't mean that they're there for your kid. They're there in case, we're trying to avoid catastrophes.
Yeah.
But they're not going to do all the stretching and the warm-ups. So ensuring that kids know they have to be ready when they show up, that they have to understand how to stretch, warm up, and then recover following games. So that's like the nutshell for June and July, right? Transitioning away from where you had your school athletic trainer, possibly where you're with your coach and the coach may lead stretches or have some kind of team system, When you move into AAU, oftentimes you may not have that.
Mm-hmm.
So being prepared, but then we want to think about what happens when we get to the school year. Some states start school in August.
Yes.
Right? Like early August. August 1, I think, is Georgia for a lot of schools, August 1. So you're coming right off of AAU on the last weekend of July and jumping right into the school year.
Absolutely.
Right. So I wanted to give a couple of tips for parents, but I also wanted to prepare student athletes to think about what they're thinking about giving themselves a break, thinking about how to pace themselves, because trainers will tell you, you got to stay in the gym, stay in the gym, stay in the gym, stay in the gym. But in order to avoid injury, you want to make sure that you give your body a chance to recover. So first thing would be, as soon as that live period is over, get in to see your physician. Number one, you need a school physical.
That's not
right?
true.
You need an updated physical. Well, when could you have gotten it in if you've been in the gym every single day, and on the weekend? You're not going to be able to get that. So right now, going into the month of July, parents should schedule physicals for their student athletes. And I know from a financial perspective, people like to get that school assembly line style physical. Just get it over with. It's $20, $30. Get it over with. Put it in your pocket, and you got the paperwork cleared. But like you said when you were talking to Coach Rags, these kids are banging on the court.
Mm-hmm.
Right, they're going at it. You bump knees. You did all these little things that you don't think are an issue. I know my kid did something. He was able to go right back. But now that we're approaching the end of the season, it's important for me to get him in and make sure that there's nothing long term.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's nothing. I know what it was, and I know what to do about it. But if he were not my child, I would recommend that you go get whatever that is checked out.
I'm stopping for a quick second, and which leads into a question I have. So, does that cryotherapy, is that something you would recommend?
Some people like cold, some people like hot. I don't like cold. I don't like that's such an extreme treatment. I don't recommend against it. I just don't utilize it in my practice. Now I have athletes that like it, they swear by it, just like the cold tub. People swear by an ice bath, and that's okay. If you're getting the results you need, go for it. I don't use a lot of cold, but I also use a lot of Chinese medicine in my practice, and so the goal is to also move blood flow. Think about a car engine. If your car is cold in the wintertime, gas won't go through the engine, right? So you got to sit there, let it warm up, defrost it or whatever. The gas runs through the engine. If you're cold, that doesn't happen that same way, right? So I'm not going to say it doesn't work. Cold does work. You just got to know why you're using the cold.
Okay. So, and back to what you're saying. So, I want a full physical. Outside of that full physical, I want to get some rest. What is your recommendation for how much rest I should have once AAU season is over? Because to be quite honest, you probably got about, from the time school starts, and this is from a Georgia perspective, you probably got about 3 weeks before fall league starts.
Correct.
So are you saying to take 2 weeks off? Are you saying to take the whole time off? Are you saying just cut back some so you can get more rest for your body? Because to be honest, and again, as we talk, and some of the stuff I would have never crossed my mind because I'm just always so on the go. But I was like, man, we really are playing year round now.
No holiday is exempt from basketball.
None.
Mother's Day, Easter, Christmas, Thanksgiving,
4th of July,
Valentine's Day,
yeah,
President's Day, because that's what is that? That's All-Star Weekend. I mean, there are no holidays None. 4th of July, they're playing right now. Like, it doesn't matter. Every single day of the year, basketball is truly 365. So my recommendation in that space would be give the kid a couple of days of nothing.
So you say a couple of days?
I said a couple of days, not a week.
Okay.
Just a couple of days. I mean, they have to decompress.
Okay.
They got to come off of go, because they won't be fresh for you when you need them.
Okay.
You know, there are other things, there are other activities, there are other things that are important to them, important to their families. They have to honor that. They're not honoring that. They're not going to give you 100% when you get on the court.
Yeah.
Right. So some of it is physical, some of it's not. Okay. You know, if all you know is, I had one athlete, amazing quarterback. It wasn't until he was like in his 20s and I'm having a conversation with him and his mom. And like, you know, he's never had a birthday party. I was like, what do you mean he never had a birthday party? He's like, never had a birthday party because he always was on a team.
Yeah.
If it wasn't football, it was baseball, right? He was always doing something. Never had a birthday party, right? So sometimes you got to let them be a kid with the understanding that this is your break. These are the boundaries of it. And then when you start to transition back in, it should be an active rest.
Okay.
Dribbling doesn't take strength. Like, it's not going to hurt you if you just dribble. You know, it's not going to hurt you if you're working on just putting up some shots. It's that pounding and banging and running up and down the hardwood that you really got to think about. And every court surface is not the same.
Oh, amen.
Some have give, some don't. Some are concrete painted over. Like, some of them train outside. You got to think about all of those factors. But yeah, I would say first couple of days, nothing. Chill out. Because it's going to give their brain rest. Then you start transitioning back in. You can do pool workouts. You can do all those kind of things that just allow them to almost cross train a little bit. And then transition back into that full-fledged fall league. One of the other things about when they get those physicals, double check your health insurance. Kids come from all sorts of family scenarios. Everyone's insurance situation isn't equal, right? Check out what that policy covers. You want to make sure that should there be an orthopedic situation, you know how you handle that for your kid. Okay. Do we have to get a referral? Is it an emergency room situation? If it's an emergency room situation, then what does that look like? What is the follow-up time? What if they say, which is a standard, sit out for 2 weeks and then rest for 2 weeks and then you can go back to sport? Well, that didn't necessarily resolve what the issue was. What happens then? What happens if it doesn't look as bad as it was and you want to play within that 14 days? It might be 3 days and you feel better. But they're obligated, the athletic trainer on campus is obligated to go by that 14-day note. Right? So think about that, so that when coach is saying, I need my star XYZ, I need my star center, I need my star point guard, I need my star wing, whatever they got, they need to know what the scenario would be if they don't have that kid anymore, or how we navigate getting that kid back if we need to get that kid back.
So let me ask this. So as you know, like you say, you get the rest and you're coming in to August, and then you're starting to get ready for fall league. Fall league, you're usually playing once a week. You're usually playing that Saturday, usually for the most part.
That's in Georgia, right? That's in Georgia.
Yes. Okay. So the fall leagues in Georgia, you play on Saturdays, usually Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon, depending on how big the fall league is. And it goes, you're playing once a week all the way up until mid-October. And then they quote unquote, because fall league doesn't mean you made the team. Technically, it doesn't. A lot of times those are kids that are already on the team because they have an idea who they're going to pick. There may be a couple people on there that they may cut or whatever the case may be. But once you get into fall league, since you're only playing once a week, shouldn't that be kind of a dial down? Because we all know by the time you get to that third week of October, it's back to what it is.
It's real. It's real.
Practicing at least four times a week, and then you're playing 2 games a week.
So this is what that scenario looks like. So Georgia, you guys might play on Saturday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Texas, there's so many teams. You might have to play on Wednesday, Thursday, Thursday league. So now you're going to class during the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to go do this after school. You don't have your full week to kind of just handle your week. What goes on in Texas is an athletic period, which separates school. That's what separates Georgia and Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Is that these kids practice more. They're already practicing more. So you get up, you go to class, you got basketball class. That counts as your PE credit.
Well, they have that here. Right. They do have that as well.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's an addition from when I was in Georgia originally. They didn't have a lot of that. Now that, I'm sure that they've expanded some of those things, but I know, and I'm not going to say everywhere, but just from the places that I knew at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So you pound there. Then these kids have personal trainers for skills.
Yeah.
Personal trainers.
Conditioning.
Yep. Strength and conditioning. That's 2 different things.
Yes.
Right. You got strength and conditioning and agility. Then you got basketball skills. And then you have, your school practice or school, athletic period. And then you're going to go play after school. So did they really rest? Right. And since they know they're not doing AAU during the week, they may go harder on these 2, the strength and conditioning and the skills.
Oh, absolutely.
They're going to go in as if none of that's happening.
Because they're going through like strength and conditioning and skills and development. They're at least doing that 3 times a week in addition to what you're just talking about. Absolutely.
Yep. So then you need people like me. So then you got the skills and strength and conditioning, right? Skills. Mm-hmm. And then you have treatment and recovery, because this is the catch. If you're doing things outside of school, the school trainer doesn't have to touch the kid.
Yeah, you're right.
Right?
You're right.
They really shouldn't touch the kid. Now, if they're doing fall ball, is that technically under the school umbrella, or is it not? Like, you need to check and see.
And it's funny you mentioned that. Usually fall ball has one trainer for everybody at the event. So a lot of times the schools don't bring their own trainer until the season starts.
Because this technically doesn't count.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Right? Just like summer, just like this last month of June. That school athletic trainer was not obligated to cover anything. And so Correct. You got to make sure that you're mindful of anything that happens outside of the sanctioned time period for that season. You're you're on your own.
With the exception of GBCA. Now they had trainers there, but
it's not the school.
Yeah, correct. Correct.
So there's no connection to what happened in this isolated window. That athletic trainer on site did not have to communicate to the school athletic trainer. There's no continuity of care, and there's really no care provided at the site. It's more first aid, emergency, right? You're not given a plan for them to follow. So those are things to be mindful of going into this fall season, is that everything that happened in the summer and fall league, you better make sure you communicate it to the athletic trainer at the school so you can at least be on the same page. Now, they're not obligated to resolve that problem, but you should have a plan in place for, this is what happened to me this summer. These are the rehab exercises I should or shouldn't be doing. I want to make sure so that I'm on the same page so it doesn't create an issue for what I'm doing in the fall, like in the official season.
So let me ask this, and I'm glad we're talking about this. So I'll just use my son. So everything we talked about, he does. So the strength and conditioning, the skill development. So if I'm coming to see you, what type of recovery plan are you implementing to say, okay, he needs to follow I'm going to check for what have you, whether he has some type of ailments you need to be, cognizant of. So let me ask that.
So for me, if we're doing a recovery plan, that's one thing. If I'm doing some biomechanical correction, that's another thing. So it depends on what you're coming to me for, right? If you're just coming
explain both of them to me. I'm glad you just said that.
Okay.
Explain it.
Okay, so I'm a Texas Georgia hybrid, show me state kind of gal. So this is the thing. The things that I picked up at Life University in Atlanta. I think it sets me apart as an athletic trainer. At least in the beginning, like I was one of those people that did some things differently as far as biomechanics and implementing that into the practice instead of like a checklist. Ice, rest, ice, compression, elevation. Like I would go in and, okay, something's off about the way this person is standing. Okay, something's off about the way this kid's shoes are wearing down, and really looking at the alignment of the body. So if you're coming to me for an injury, I'm going to break that part down first, right? How did it happen? What are we dealing with? How do we resolve it? That piece. If you're coming to me for recovery, hey, I go in and I bang all the time and I run all the time and, I need to work on stretching a little bit more. That's a completely separate thing. So we would put in every 7 to 10 days, we need to have a session, right? And all the things that you're doing at the school are fine. You can foam roll, right? You can get a stretching band and you can do those things on your own. I do the things you can't do.
Okay. And
then I make sure that you, at least the things that you're able to do for self-care in between practices to get warmed up, the things when you're watching NCAA and you're watching NBA and you're watching whatever WNBA you're watching, you see them prepping on the court. You see them do this extensive warm-up routine, right? Sometimes there are parts that they do on their own and sometimes there are parts that are assisted. So we would break down which parts can you do, which parts can't you do? What you can't do, I'll do. Okay. And then over here on the biomechanics side, we address those so that they don't continue to be a problem. How many kids keep having ankle sprains? All of that's not just because they're running hard. Some of it may be because, I don't know, let's say they had an appendix scar. That could affect their core. Core is off. Balance is off, coming down, landing is off. You see what I'm saying? Like all of those things are connected. So it depends on what you're coming to me for. We deal with the injury, then we're going to definitely deal with function and biomechanics. If we're doing recovery, that's different. That's maintenance. That's keeping you going. That's getting the lactic acid out.
And I was just getting ready to ask that. So there's a difference between recovery and preventive maintenance then, correct?
They kind of go together.
Okay.
It's kind of an umbrella term. Recovery is kind of an umbrella. Recovery maintenance is an umbrella term.
Okay.
But a lot of the things that I do in this recovery maintenance piece can also be used on the injury piece as well.
Okay.
This just depends on how I break up the time.
Okay. So just in a summary, I would come to you for either an injury that, we're trying to get past that injury, or recovery maintenance, preventive maintenance. So it really be between both of them. Not hurt.
And biomechanics. It's like 3 real solid things. The injury, but I can almost 95% of the time link that injury to a biomechanical fault.
Okay, right. So if I come to you initially, I'm coming for like a biomechanical observation, so to speak.
We can do that. Yeah, always do an initial eval.
Okay.
But you could call me and say, hey, I had an ankle sprain and I want you to work on it. Okay, but you're always going to do an initial eval because I'm going to look at everything. Okay. I'm going to look at your shoes. I'm going to look at the alignment of your knees, how your back lines up, how you hold your head.
Okay.
Computer kids do this. Volleyball players, they do this, right? Baseball players, they do that.
Okay.
Track does something different.
Okay.
Right. So I'm going to look at all those things.
So, okay. So biomechanical / observation first, little analysis, biomechanics. Then it would be, then that determines whether if that person had an injury or whatever, and you're going to treat that injury, or if it's going to be preventive maintenance from there, right? And so
but you can always do the maintenance recovery piece.
Yes.
That's an independent piece. If you're active, that's an independent piece. I can always do that, even if you don't do these other things.
And is that once, like you said, every 7 to 10 days, once every 2 weeks?
During the season, I would go 7 to 10 days. Yeah. Because there are going to be some things that you're going to do on your own. You should do on your own. And if you don't, I'll find out. I'll find out. That means we just got more work to do.
So when I come in for that recovery preventive maintenance, how long is that session? Or does
I usually try to block them in 50-minute sessions. But I mean, I have set up, 90-minute sessions depending on what it is we're doing. But that's something we lay out up front. You're not going to come in and think it's a 50-minute session. And I'm like, yeah, an hour and a half, I'm going to handle it at the back end. No, there's strategy in recovery. I look at how many days you're traveling. So let's look at the high school student. They're not going to be traveling in and out of town like that. Not on the school schedule.
Yeah.
Right. The AAU is different. In and out of town. So, but we want to prep them for what the goal is, right? This podcast is about, getting these kids to the next level. So let's address them now as if they're already moving in that direction. So you plan things out. There are recovery days. There are, active rest days. And we look at what the eating pattern is. We look at, all of those things. So we would lay it out. I wouldn't just come in and just, surprise, today's a 90-minute session. No, we lay it out. You bring your schedule and we map it out. Sometimes it deviates because, game might have gotten canceled, a tournament got switched out, whatever those things are, we can change that. But usually if we're in recovery, you can pretty much plan it out.
So does insurance cover this, or is this come out of pocket? How does that work?
Cash pay. Everything's cash pay.
Okay.
But, there are some FSA and HSA cards that I will be able to help saving account. Yes. Right. I can do debit cards. I can do debit cards and credit cards, but not insurance based.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So, what we were saying? Oh, I said schedule appointments, especially with specialists, and they don't have to be injury related. So do the things that keep the kid on the court and in the practice. They don't need to miss practice for eyeglass appointment. If you can avoid that, schedule all those things up front as much as possible so that they don't miss a game. They don't miss a practice. They want to be present as much as possible. And we talked about collaborating with the athletic trainer and then developing the training plan. So that's the recovery, rehab, all of that goes together. If you're going to work with a strength and conditioning person, a skills person, that's where you map in your recovery days so that everyone's on the same page. It's not going to be like, this is my plan and I'm not going to do what you guys say. I'm just going to go do this treatment and cryo and cupping and all that without communicating. They need to know, because if I dry needle you, I don't want you to go lift weights today.
Okay.
Right? But if I do it and I don't know you're going to lift today, now I'm setting you up for a situation that may not be as favorable. They go and they put you on a heavy squat rack.
Yeah.
That's not the goal today. So we all have to communicate. So just being very intentional on creating that training plan.
Okay.
And these are students first. So all of this should be, contingent upon them handling their academics.
Absolutely. Okay. Wow. And so let me ask this final question as I think about this. So this plan should cover preseason, regular season, and postseason, correct?
Always. every season. It's just like basketball all the time.
And that's why I asked this. So as we're rounding out into the last part of AAU, and then, like I said, school starts, which will kind of be a little lull for about 3 weeks. How would we handle July, since we know July is going to be, almost like June high school?
I think it depends on where you are, right? So you're talking Georgia. Georgia starts school earlier, so that fall period starts earlier. It just does. School starts earlier. They get out earlier. You got winter break. Some of those things are different. I don't know all the school calendars, but I'll give you Texas as an example. So school won't start till later in August. That gives them a 3-week break. After, I'm not saying a full break, but there's a 3-week gap between the time that AAU ends and they report to school.
Yes.
AAU in Georgia, though, you end on 26th, 24th, 25th of July.
You start next
school starts August 1st. You got 1 week, right? In Texas and the other states, they may not start till closer to Labor Day. So there's a little bit of difference in there. I like cross training. Pool workouts are good. They're not heavy on the legs. You're not pounding. You play basketball in the pool. Your brain's still working. You're still looking at the strategy, the angle to the basket, all that kind of stuff. You can still keep it going. Don't pound. We're doing things that don't pound. Adding in yoga's good. That would be a great time to work on that and work on flexibility. You're actively doing some work. Ball handling, that can be an everyday thing, and it should be, right? I won't count those in off time. That should be all the time.
Okay.
Except that first 3 or 4 days that we said, give them a couple of days of doing nothing, of being a kid, because a lot of these kids get rushed through and they're not able to be a kid. So then you look at them at 24 and 25 and they're college students coming out of college, going into whatever level, if they can go play at the next level. Sometimes they're what do you call it? The post-grad kid, with an extra year or with a bonus year. And you wonder why they sit in their room and play Legos and wonder why they want to be on the video game all the time, because they didn't get a chance to be a kid. So they try to recapture that. They're not as mature because I'm not saying all of them, but if you don't let them be a kid, it's going to show up as an adult.
Yeah. That's a good point. Okay.
Yeah, so.
Okay. I like it. I
look at things a different way.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you have me thinking like, man, I never thought about that. And even like, for me, I keep going over preventive maintenance because, like I said, as I was introducing you on, you're seeing some of these injuries that are just downright scary for kids we've never seen some of these injuries, like some of these real serious injuries. Like, you're starting to see these knee issues pop up a lot more. You're seeing, like, I saw a kid blow his Achilles. I was like, what? You're blowing the Achilles at 18? That's insanity.
It is possible. It is very possible. But you have to think about, I don't think we're thinking about what's happened the last 2 years.
Well, yes. That's
right. We've been sitting for 2 years. Okay, I tell people all the time, I just have this whole, sometimes I have conspiracy theory thoughts. But have you ever watched the movie WALL-E?
I haven't, no.
No? Okay, you got to watch WALL-E. You know what I'm talking about, right? It's like it's from 2000, around 2007, 8. Anyway, there's this robot. It's based on this robot and like end of world times, and the world is kind of this dry place because everyone left the planet to go live in outer space, on the space station, right? And the only thing that was left was this robot and a roach. That was all that was left on the planet. The robot and a roach. And it was like an old robot, Anyway, the point was the people up in space had become so automated. Everything was at the push button. like everything. They just sitting up in the captain's chair, and all he can do is just basically move his hand like a mouse. That's pretty much it, because he had atrophied. He had no muscle tone. He couldn't get up and walk because he hadn't used his muscles in forever. So he just slithered out the chair, just kind of fell out like liquid. So my point is, if you don't use it, you lose it. Yeah. And a lot of that elasticity could have been lost because they're sitting. They're sitting on Zoom. They're sitting on Teams for class, Google Classroom, whatever, not to put anybody's company out. It's not that. Those are the platforms that they were using, but they're not using their bodies the same way.
That's a good point.
I increase the hamstring strains and all that stuff because they haven't been using it. And it doesn't take long. If you go on a cast for 10 days, you can see noticeably the difference in. 10 days. That's it. Yep. 10 days.
That's a great point. I remember when I broke my ankle, and when I came out the cast, it looks noticeably different. Yeah. It looks different until you get that muscle tone back.
Yeah, it looks different. Like once, so yeah. So I mean, it's just that scientific part of my brain that is like, okay, well, it does make sense to me because this is how the body works.
Okay.
I mean, I definitely would understand why a kid would have an Achilles problem now.
It's just, 20 years ago, that was just so unheard of, but yes, we are living in different times, but man. So.
And we went out and played outside, right? We always were moving.
Great point.
We were always moving.
Well, that's why I have this section of the show, because what you're bringing to the show from a sports medicine perspective is so important. And,
thank you.
Just as much as I advocate for education, this sports medicine part is just as important because, we have to prevent these injuries because, sometimes when these kids go through these major injuries, they're not the same player when they come back, unfortunately. Now, yes, they're young enough to rebuild because they're growing, but some of these guys that were jumping through the gym, sometimes they don't get that back sometimes.
But sometimes, there's more to it than just that physical part, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot to be addressed that gets glossed over. And if you address it from oftentimes the old school way of things, like I'm sort of a hybrid on that. Some things I think deserve tough love and some things need a little softer approach. Kids sometimes shrink back and they don't know how to adjust after an injury. If you say, oh, you just got to go get it. Back in the day when I used to play, we played with 3 broken ankles. I mean, that's every coach's story, right? Every coach is going to say that.
Mm-hmm.
And, I played and then so you watch them walk away limping. Like that's no motivation for a kid at all.
Right.
They're like,
tough it out.
They say, oh yeah, I broke all my fingers. And that one finger. How many coaches do you know whose hands do this?
Oh yeah.
And they go different directions. This finger goes this way, and that finger goes that way, and this finger goes this way. And they say, well, look, you should be like me. Like these kids are not hearing that. They'll say, forget it. I'm good.
That's true.
But you got to respect that. I mean, you can't just say, oh, you just got to be tough. That's not going to work.
But
they would do like this.
But that's why this is so important to start talking about this stuff. So when you start talking about it, at least it's in their minds and they hear it. One of the biggest things is nobody told me. Or at least if we keep putting this out there and, they can watch the stream, they can watch it be pre-recorded, then at least they can say, I've heard that somewhere. And that's the first thing, at least knowledge is power, at least to say, I've heard this somewhere. And maybe it may encourage somebody to go do some more research or reach out to you or reach out to whoever. But to me, I'm going to keep saying it, that preventive maintenance part is just it's going to be so vital in the future. Yeah, it's going to be so vital. And if you can do things to, to get ahead of it before, instead of coming to you from an injury type of deal, instead of saying, well, I'm going to come now so I can get my muscles together, I can do the biomechanics stuff. So stuff I may be moving funny that I may not have even seen before that you're pointing out, that can prevent injuries as well, because you may be overcompensating and don't even know it.
Yeah, coaches don't have time to address it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They just don't. They don't have time to address it, and nor should that have to be their role, right? Shouldn't have to be their space. Some coaches are really, really good at figuring those things out and correcting and incorporating, some corrective exercises in what they're doing, which is great. That means that team is far, far ahead of the other ones. But for those that don't have that set up, like the coach shouldn't have to get off the bench to go take care of the bloody nose. That shouldn't have to be.
Yeah.
It shouldn't. It shouldn't. So same thing to address those things so that it doesn't take away from the coach's job, which is strategy and getting wins. And getting these and helping these kids see themselves a different way so they can go to the next level in whatever it is they're doing. Some of it will be basketball and some of it won't, but just to be good people.
Agreed. I couldn't agree with you more. Listen, that's why we're going to keep bringing you on this show to keep talking about different perspectives of sports medicine that, quite honestly, a lot of us don't even think about until it's talked about, or like I said, I've never really thought about that. And your whole outlook and your perspective on this is so needed, because if it prevents one person from having a serious injury, it's worth it.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime. Like I tell the rest of the coaches, you family now. So
thank you.
You come to the cookout, you get your own plate now.
Yeah, I go do that. I'll give you one shot. You can be a guest after that.
Exactly. Now you're not a guest no more. And like I said, I think this is so important, not just for basketball, it's just important, period. So, for me, what I'm taking away from this tonight is, that whole biomechanical thing. I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to look into that some more. I didn't even think about that. And if other people are watching this and they're thinking the same thing, by all means, please reach out to her on Twitter. Please reach out to her on Facebook. Whatever you can, on Instagram, whatever, reach out to her and ask those questions. As she transitions here to Atlanta, we will be giving out the office information for you to contact her as well.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Anytime. Thank you for coming on the show.
We'll be set up by the 1st of August. We'll be ready to go.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, by 1st of August, we'll be ready to go.
So,
I'm not giving up on my Texas people. I still got some Texas clients in my pocket and some VIPs that I'm not gonna get rid of. So but yeah, I'll definitely be set up in Georgia by August, the beginning of August.
So when you're set up, are you dealing with everybody? Are you dealing with just collegiate athletes, high school athletes? You're dealing with everybody?
My niche is elite athletes.
Okay.
Elite.
Okay.
And I say that because it's a different conversation. A lot of my care and treatment protocols, they incorporate some mental work, right? Okay. There's some mind-body connection. And if you're not in that space where elite athletes live, it makes it a little difficult, right? Some of the things that, I make you think about and how I approach a certain protocol, it may impact that. So like, let's say if I had just like a car accident victim, right? I can treat a car accident victim. My skill set will fit that. But how we get to the end result is different.
Yeah.
And that's not my niche. So I don't stay in that space. Like this elite get you to the next level thing, that's what I do.
Okay.
That's what I do. I'm gonna set you up for success. Now you take it.
Okay.
And so elite athletes, that's my sweet spot. And that's elite high school, elite collegiate, pro. And there are some weekend warrior type athletes that are in that elite space, right? So, I'm not cutting them out of it. It's just we have a different conversation and we have a different approach to care.
Okay. So. Listen, I can't wait to hear what your next topics will be, because you're bringing up some stuff that just, it needs to be heard. Just at the end of the day, it needs to be heard, and we're going to keep pounding this rock until people get it.
Okay, that's my goal. Shout it from the rooftops and let them know. Absolutely. Because I think it will really, really set them up for success.
I agree.
Right. Give them every tool they need. If they then don't do it, then maybe it's not the thing that they wanted to do, or, there may be a different path for them, but give them all the tools and level the playing field. Tell them everything they need to know, and then let them go.
And let them take it from there. You have all the tools to be successful, to be elite. Where you go with it from there, it's on you as the athlete.
Yep. I appreciate that. Yep, and I agree. So, and I will be hiring soon, so I'll get you the information about that. I'll be looking to hire some people when we are starting to set up in Atlanta.
Okay. Do you know exactly where you'll be at, or is that still being worked out?
Still working on that. On that. There may be some mobile opportunities as well. So,
okay. Listen, like I said, when you're ready to announce all that, the platform is here for you to announce that. I'm here to help in any way I can.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I'll help you however I can help.
I appreciate that as well. So let's see, it's the 4th. Well, technically we do it on Mondays. So 2 weeks from now, right?
Correct. That'll work.
So we will have you back on in 2 weeks. And actually that works perfect, because that's the little small break in between AAU live periods.
Let's go live period. Correct. I'm like, okay, wait. All right. Yeah, and then so
that would be, the 19th. So the 19th, we'll definitely have you back on, and I'm sure you'll have a litany of stuff you're ready to talk about. And I look forward to it.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for the time and the opportunity to talk to your listeners.
Anytime. And so we'll be talking real soon. And
I got to get you your shirt.
Absolutely.
I missed you last time, so I'll get it to you.
Yeah, I got to have my Sports Factory shirt. That's what I'll be getting on the coaches about. Look, I need my college shirt, so I have all my T-shirts so I can start rocking them during the show.
I got you.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk soon, okay?
All right. Thank you so much.
All right.
Happy 4th.
Same
Enjoy
to you.
Your family.
Okay.
Thank you. You too.
Right. Bye-bye. Listen, love the show tonight. From a new program being started up to a well-respected JUCO coach that, quite honestly, a lot of people don't know about, to our bi-weekly sports medicine part that we're having that's turning out to be really good and knowledgeable for people that are not aware of some of this sports medicine and preventive maintenance. I'm going to holler that from the roof. For people that don't know about these things, that need to hear about them. These next 3 weeks, just pray for me. I will be all over the place. I will be in Louisville this weekend. This week. Back to Atlanta for live period with On the Radar. Under Armour's here as well at Lake Point. I will also be at the JUCO All-American Showcase with Scott Golden's holding here in Atlanta. And actually, there is a new JUCO showcase at Wheeler High School I will be attending as well. And then from there, Monday morning to Rock Hill for the Adidas All-American camp, as well as the girls' live period. So I'll be a little bit of everywhere in the next 9 to 13 days, but definitely look forward to it. When you live and eat and sleep this and you're passionate about it, this is part of what it is. Next Monday, we may not have a show on Monday. We may do it on Tuesday instead, either Tuesday, Wednesday, or possibly Thursday, because of the way the Adidas camp goes to Wednesday. So we may do it either Thursday or even possibly a Friday as well. So it'll be somewhat later in the week. We will have another great show as usual. We'll talk about Run for the Roses. We didn't even get a chance to talk about the GBCA camp. I'm going to have my partner, Madre Allen. We'll come on together and talk about some of the great GBCA and Southeast events as well that went on, and talk about a couple of players whose stock has really risen. We'll get into that. Listen, shout out to Madre Allen and his new show that's on HBCU League Pass. Let's talk about it with your host, Madre Allen. Great show. The first episode was out of this world. Shout out to HBCU League Pass. It was really good. You may see me duck my head in there every once in a while, but I'm just there to support any way I can. That's my guy. So definitely support HBCU League Pass. Support Let's Talk About It with Madre Allen. Again, we'll have some coaches show coming out. Support Voorhees Tiger Vision with Coach Huff. What up, Coach Huff? That's my man. We had a special Hoops Hitting Gems podcast last week for the Voorhees team camp, which was really good. Shout out to Huff and the rest of the staff that did an excellent job. I was privy enough to go up there and see some great teams. And we're just going to keep promoting this. We'll promote Georgia basketball. We're going to promote high school AAU basketball nationally. We're going to promote D3, NAI, and D2 basketball, as well as JUCO basketball, all levels. And of course, we will promote D1. It doesn't need any promoting, but we also cover that as well. So that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in to Hoops Hitting Gems podcast. I'm your host, David Jones. You guys have a good night and a good 4th of July.